Melodies, Memories and New Discoveries.
You're listening to Melodies, Memories and New Discoveries. Let's talk Black Sabbath.
Okay guys, welcome to the very first episode of Melodies, Memories and New Discoveries, where we explore new, old and undiscovered music in Birmingham.
So we are a group of BCU students who want to find out all things to do with music in Birmingham.
Let's introduce you to the team, I reckon. So I'm one of your hosts, I'm Molly.
And I'm Nicola, your other host. And behind the scenes we have Moon and Destiny.
Say hi guys. Hi. Can you hear them? Today's first episode, we thought we'd take you back just a little bit. Any listeners out there who are a fan of heavy metal, you are in for a treat.
Yes, we have a special guest joining us in a second. We are very excited to speak about what is going on in Birmingham currently.
So today we're going to be discussing the reunion of Black Sabbath. Woo! It was announced on the 5th of February 2025 that Black Sabbath will in fact be returning to Birmingham for one final show. Mm-hmm. Although it's the end of the road, it's an incredible moment in time to remember that all Black Sabbath has done and how they've actually just changed rock completely.
Birmingham has a rich and diverse musical legacy with the rise of many artists who became very well known all over the globe. These artists are from a variety of genres, including the creators of bango genre, as well as well-known bands and musicians, including Black Sabbath, obviously, Judas Priest, UB40, Still Pulse, and Musical Youth, and so many more.
And for anyone who is unsure who Black Sabbath actually is, they are credited for creating heavy metal, really. They were formed in 1968, they lived in Birmingham, and they grew up in a working class area. A website that I found actually, Nicola, that I recommend you guys have a look at is Teach Rock. So it discusses Black Sabbath and their creation of songs and their albums and everything like that.
Yeah, one thing I've taken away from that is they talk a lot about lyrics and darker themes. The website discussed that they would often focus on occultism and drugs, and the music became thicker, louder, and more riff-based. They became one of the earliest rock bands whose music were described as heavy metal.
Yeah. And the announcement of Black Sabbath doing one final show in the heart of where they began is such an exciting time for all the fans out there that grew up around Black Sabbath.
Yeah, that's right. This summer, on the 5th of July, Black Sabbath's final show, named Back to the Beginning, will take place at Villa Park in Birmingham, England, featuring all Black Sabbath original members. We've got Ozzy Osbourne, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward.
The show just marks the first time all members have actually played together since 2005.
Which is insane.
Something so special.
Guys, FYI, I was born in 2005.
So was I. How can you believe that?
Tickets for this phenomenon went out on the 14th of February 2025. Reports say it sold out in an incredible 16 minutes. That is insane. If you were lucky enough to grab yourself a ticket,
then we applaud you guys.
And for those that weren't so lucky, I'm so sorry. And let's move on. Let's introduce our guest.
Asya Draganova. Do you want to say hello?
I'm going to do my own intro.
Yes. Introduce yourself, mysterious guest speaker.
Okay, hi, I'm Asya, and I am a senior lecturer in popular music culture, which is a very, very cool title. And I'm the course leader for the bachelor's degree in music business here at Birmingham City University.
Beautiful. We're just going to ask you a few questions about Black Sabbath today, obviously, because we know you're a very, very big fan. So how did you first come to hear and love about them?
That is really going back in time to a point when you guys were not even born. Anyway, well, how did I discover Black Sabbath? I have to say that since a young age, I was always interested in rock music. I started playing the guitar also when I was, 4 or 5, something like that. Wow. And it definitely was something which emerged so naturally that is very difficult to trace the beginnings of it. It almost feels like it was there always, for all the time for me, since my early childhood. So it's hard to kind of pinpoint the moment of discovery. However, that reunion that you just mentioned, the 2005 reunion of the 4 original members of the band, I was very much alive then, unlike you. And and I saw a show from that tour that the band did as reunited in their original lineup, which was very unique. It was their first and their only show that they ever did in Bulgaria, where I'm from. So I saw them in Sofia. And like you just pointed out, this is the first time that they will be playing together again, the 4 of them. them in 20 years, and the last, as it is indeed very much that final point of retirement. It is very good to see this symbolic act of the 4 original members coming together, because when they did their The End final tour, which also symbolically ended here in Birmingham, they were with a different drummer who was very, very talented and so on, but Bill Ward has got that that touch, that almost like jazzy touch, a particular softness to playing the drums that really contributed to who Sabbath are sonically.
It just wasn't the same without them.
Well, yeah, it was excellent and very, very good, and still very much Sabbath. But I think it's amazing news that they've managed to get him back on board. Really,
What was your experience when trying to obtain these tickets?
painful. So you said that the tickets came out on the 14th of February, but
did,
actually
yeah.
the pre-sale was on the 13th. That was the Live Nation pre-sale on the 13th. The day before, it was some other pre-sale, I think, O2 Priority. Then the day before was something else. So anyway, there was 4 days of pre-sales before the actual on sale. I did my best. I have 2 Ticketmaster accounts attached to 2 legitimate phone numbers, attached to separate emails. I worked on multiple machines. I tried every single trick and I still didn't get a ticket.
No, that's so unfortunate.
Having said that, yeah, absolutely. So I've worked really hard and to get that. But it seems that I found a few things because I'm a researcher. It feels like actually all journeys are learning curves here. Even if we're looking at something that was to a great extent disappointing. There's no point beating yourself up if you didn't get a ticket, because actually it does not come down to your commitment. It does not come down also to how tech savvy you are either, because what happens is, even if you actually join a Ticketmaster queue as early as possible and everything, what happens right before the tickets drop is that you get reshuffled.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, like,
Yeah, you get
Ticketmaster does
reshuffled.
your 3 out of 100 in the queue. What did that look like? How many people were in front of you?
Oh, a different thing every day. Actually, it felt like some of the moments I felt like it was really close. I would see, the dream blue areas where you get to click on them and you select your tickets, and then the moment you go to payment
gone.
and it's like, tickets are no longer available. Yeah, anyway. You bring it back. It's like PTSD now, guys.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But I have to say, whilst this is definitely going to be an incredible historic moment in rock and metal history and in Birmingham's history indeed, and it's certainly turning us into the capital of rock and metal, or reinstating us as such. So definitely a worthy event. At the same time, the thing that I kind of can somewhat feel as a little bit of consolation is that I have indeed seen the band in their original lineup, and very importantly, I have seen Ozzy at a time when he was so energetic. I found it found it hard to believe. Even in the final tour in 2017? Yeah, 2017. He was going for it, guys. Like, even though he doesn't drink in ages, so he's got this he has his little cup of tea. He would have a sip from his cup of tea, and then he'd go, "Come on, let's go, I love you all." And he's just wild on the stage. So that energy is how I'm going to remember him, as somebody who came across as fully able and who he is. And I feel that whilst having this goodbye moment is very important, it also feels like a wake in some way.
Sort of thing, yeah.
So I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of mixed emotions about it. There's going to be a lot of happiness, but also very much frustration from Ozzy's perspective in terms of his physical limitations now.
Yeah, I would say, like, are you surprised that there is even a reunion with everything that's going on with
Not really.
Ozzy, you know?
No, I'm not that surprised, really, because he is an entertainer. This is what he has done all his life. Yes, he comes from a working class background, and he did work in factories like the rest of the members of the band over here in Aston, 10 minutes down the road or whatever. So it's what he's done all his life. And fair enough, he wants to say goodbye. And when you have that sense of being loved by so many people and having influenced somehow their identities, their lives, their experiences, their memories, everything, sure enough, you almost feel like this is something you owe them to. And this and since the Parkinson's diagnosis, since Ozfest was cancelled for the first time because of Ozzy not being well and so on a few years ago, it was always reiterated that there is an intention to have such a show and that it will be in Villa Park. Who, by the way, in my efforts to be to get a ticket, I am now in the official fan club of. Anyway,
Beautiful.
Side effect.
I just want to take a minute to talk about the actual tickets that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So we did a little bit of research and we found out that Ticketmaster said that they were priced in advance from £197.50 to £834.
Or even more.
Even more than that.
Oh yeah, well the Golden Circle, as they call it, was £1,500 ago.
Wow.
And then the tickets that were being sold by Aston Villa were I don't know, £700 or £800 was the kind of cheaper package, so-called silver package or whatever. So actually that pricing model, I appreciate that there was the dynamic pricing thing didn't really come into force. There was some limitation onto it, but it wasn't a straightforward Oasis situation here. But still, the demand was incredibly high, and of course that influenced the events. And but at the same time, there is the kind of positive thinking here to apply, which is to do with, of course, the fact that the gig is bringing into light a number of important charities here in Birmingham, which I'm sure are very thankful for all the media attention and all the financial benefit they're going to get from this.
Yeah. I will say it's not like your chances of getting a ticket isn't completely over. I've got tickets last minute several occasions because I feel like what happens, especially Ticketmaster, we've got a lot of resellers.
But then we're thinking about what prices are they going to be? Like the resellers, are they going to sell them
They're going to go crazy.
Are they going to sell them for double, triple the price?
Some people are willing. Some people are willing.
In fact, I would say I would not go for resale through a site alternative to Ticketmaster. Maybe I shouldn't be using the actual brand names, but you probably know who I mean. If you're gonna go through resale, rather than you should probably try to do it via Ticketmaster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely, because the opportunities to get scammed are massive. Yeah, absolutely. Well, to make myself feel better, I thought, well, I will go to another Villa Park show then. So I got myself tickets to see Kendrick Lamar and Caesar. So
so did I.
They're not like us.
I'm going for that, guys.
I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Yeah. I look forward to feeling old.
How do you feel that this final show is going to help Birmingham's significance?
Well, or is it?
Or is it? My gosh.
No. Just the Birmingham is facing such significant struggles on on a number of basic levels.
Really
no
is.
shade.
Like
no one
dealing
thinks
with
of
their
us,
waste,
guys.
there's so many things that are obviously in trouble right now. The council is bankrupt. It announced obviously bankruptcy year and a half ago. It's looking quite grim, I gotta say. So in terms of how it's going to influence it, I am hoping that it contributes to a more positive cultural image. I think it's going to play, and it already is playing, a massive role in terms of highlighting and consolidating the role of the city for the inception and the construction of what heavy metal is as a cultural artifact, and which is not only culturally but also commercially incredibly significant. So for example, if you think about spaces and places, there's so many other kind of music heritage cities like Liverpool, like Manchester, and so on that have got sites and to be visited. What does Birmingham have apart from Black Sabbath's bench in Bringley Place? I'm not dissing it, it's nice. And there have been some lovely exhibitions like the Home of Metal 50 Years of Black Sabbath exhibition and so on, but they were temporary things. So at the moment, what has been partially a success of Ozzy and Sharon's podcast and publicity and so on has been the achievement of the listed status of the building The Crown on Station Road, or Station Street, just behind New Street Station. And this is where Black Sabbath first performed in the 60s as part of the Big Bears Blues Club, which was a blues night that was managed by the first manager, Jim Simpson, who is still around here in Birmingham, a fantastic person, by the way, and an amazing photographer. So they've got that listed status, and something is going to happen in that building. It's not getting knocked down, guys. We're not going to see, hopefully, we're not going to see another 50-story soulless piece of glass and metal in there, but hopefully metal in some other format, because it will be dedicated to some degree, for sure, to commemorating Sabbath and their importance.
Well, I think that's everything.
I think that's what we've got to say. Yeah.
So thank you so much, Asya, for joining us and giving us your insights on the tour.
yeah, that is it for our first ever episode. Thank you so much for coming on. So thank you so much for listening to Melodies, Memories and New Discoveries. That's a wrap on our first episode. I'm Molly.
And I'm Nicola.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.